Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday, February the 1st, 2025. Finally back in Sibley, about to connect my footsteps from the last time I was here. We're about to start the next section of the trail, which is the Louisiana Trail Section. It's going to take about 4 days to complete this section. And basically, we're going to be on more of a nature trail for the next 50 plus miles, which is great. Not to confuse it with the Bayou State Trail, the Louisiana Trail is developed on an old railroad that used to run from Winfield all the way here to Sibley. It's multi-purpose. It's usable for ATVs, for horseback riding. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be connecting here in a minute and getting on that section of the trail. I'll be able to tell you more about it over the next few videos, but basically because it's along an old railroad, we're going to be passing through or nearby several towns. So you're going to have some options. Some of them may be more limited than others, but you'll have the opportunity to stop and at certain places and get you something to eat, get you something to drink. There's post offices, so if you want to get packages mailed to you for resupply, you have those options. So we're about to reconnect our footsteps from last time, and I'll show it to you here in a second. All right, so this is where we came in last time, and now we're going to turn right here onto Northeast Natchitoches Road, follow this for a couple of blocks, and then we'll turn left up here to get on the trail. Just a couple of blocks down from where we crossed the railroad tracks, we're up to Southeast 2nd, and we're going to turn left, and we're going to get on the Louisiana Trail here in a minute. All right, just want to point out, you could get it a block closer down this way, but looking at Google Maps, it looked like it was clear to begin with right here. So that's why we took Southeast 2nd. You can see this is the start of the Louisiana Trail Section. I'm gonna go ahead and share with you now for the next couple of minutes a little bit more about this. So the further south we go, the more developed the trail will be. They have done a lot of work starting in Winfield, going northbound up to around Goldana. Now, we are not going to go all the way to Winfield. We're actually going to be getting off in a few days just past Goldana. But basically what we're doing right now is we're walking on a pretty good surface. For the next 5 miles, it should be pretty good. But there are some sections that's going to be muddy, and it's because of these ATV riders. They have really torn up sections of it. So we're going to have to go around it. I'm going to show you all that. Hopefully it won't be hard to bypass. I had a friend of mine that's been hiking this trail ahead of me, and he told me it really wasn't all that bad, so that's good. But it explains why when you go to the Bayou State Trail Association website, we refer to this as the wet and wild section. The whole section is not wet and wild. It's going to be mainly, from my knowledge, from Heflin, which is 5 miles from here, to about Freiburg, which is just north of Jamestown, where we're finishing our hike for today. And I'll conclude a 15-mile hike from here to Jamestown. So it's going to be interesting. Also, too, camping-wise, there's nothing really designated along this trail. However, it's my understanding it's about a 50-foot right-of-way on each side. So you can find some places remotely to set up. But that's one of the reasons why I recommended at the end of day 5 that you just stop in Sibley, because you're really not going to have anything amenity-wise nor designated campsite-wise from here until you get closer to Jamestown. So that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and start showing you some views here over the next several miles. All right, that was a little sketchy. It's old, but it's solid. Just take your time crossing it. And you can see how pretty it is here on the left side. And of course, we've been walking along houses on the right. But we're getting out of Sibley now. It's starting to open up, and we're going to continue on. First real wet spot of the day. We tried to drop that down, but that didn't work too well. But all this is wet, but it looks like they just kind of bypassed it. But it looks like we're going to start hitting more of this wet and wild section. So we'll see what's ahead. Figured I'd show you this because, as I've talked about a few times on this trail, there's not a lot of water sources, so if you can just pick some up, pick it up. But we're about to exit Heflin. I wanted to point out, and it's something I hadn't talked about much yet, there's about 50 foot of right-of-way on each side of the trail. So you can see where this pavilion is, that fence that's right there. That whole area, you could camp out. It's not often you're gonna have that much space, but nevertheless, that's pretty much how you're gonna have to camp out on this section of the trail. But in the meantime, we're about to head out of Heflin. We're about 9 miles left before we get to Jamestown. We're gonna hit a few more small communities along the way. All right, well, we're about, I would say about 8.5 miles into today's hike, which is about 1.5 miles to 2 miles south of Heflin. This is the worst spot so far. What we did is we just came up right here, and we're gonna see how far we can go to get around this stuff. So we'll show you what it looks like on the other side. All right, if we would have stayed on this side, you can come down this way. What we did was about halfway down this, which is, it's only about 50 yards. We crossed over to this side and came down. So now we're gonna get back on the main trail, and we'll see how much more of this we're gonna be coming across. About 10 miles into today's hike, we've come up to the small community of Freiburg. I don't think they have any stores or anything here. You can see where we crossed the road. So we have about 5 miles to go today. We're gonna be approaching Lawhon here in the next 2 to 3 miles, which is gonna be a similarly small community to that of Freiburg. And then from there, we'll make our approach to Jamestown, and I'll be able to show you some more stuff when we get there. And we're about a mile north of Lawhon. We're just getting tired of dealing with all this back and forth. But we're on this rail bed. We're going to try this a little while and see how that goes. A little less than a mile from Lawhon. We didn't stay on that old rail bed for long because it didn't last long, but it did dry up. And I think things should start to clear up a little bit. We'll see, but I think that the muddiest spot along this section of the trail is over. We've now reached Lawhon. Again, it's one of those communities that doesn't have really any amenities. So we're now about 3 miles left for today, and that's going to get us to Jamestown. As you can see, we've now made it to Jamestown. And you can see straight ahead is a similar pavilion for you to stop and take a break, just like we saw over at Heflin. And the trail is going to continue on in this direction. I'll be back tomorrow to hike the next day from here to Ashland. But I did want to point out, right across the street is the Jamestown grocery store. So we're gonna head back to our other vehicle in Sibley, and then I'll give you my thoughts a little later on day 6 of the Bayou State Trail. All right, well, we're at Lake Bissonneau State Park, actually, just a few miles away from the town of Sibley. I was just here about a month ago. If you haven't had a chance, go check out my video. I showcase the hiking trails in this area. It's real nice. So to cap off day number 6, it was great. It was exciting, but it was very challenging at times too. This trail section is awesome in regards to it being a nature trail. I mean, it's basically no pavement. Sometimes you get parts that are mixed with gravel, particularly as we got right towards the end in Jamestown. But pretty much I would say between Heflin and Lawhon, that's where it was challenging. There were times where we were bushwhacking to try to get around those large holes. Most of the time we were successful. Sometimes we weren't. A couple of times I slipped in the water. The last time I had both my feet beyond ankle deep in there. But all in all though, I mean, it was great to be able to be on a real nature trail. It definitely adds to the whole character of the Bayou State Trail, not only having this section here in North Louisiana, but going around that stuff. With that being said, hopefully someday we can clean some of that up, maybe bushwhack at least, you know, cut some of that bushwhack down off to the side so there's a few feet away from the trail. And of course, hopefully they could put more money into it. But definitely it was a great day to be out on this thing. I do suggest though that you, just like I've been suggesting on some of these other days, just research in advance to see where you can stay. Now, technically you can camp out alongside the trail, but if that's not something you want to do, I would just contact some of these churches, see if they'll accommodate you. I'm sure someone will. We just haven't gotten to that point yet where we have that kind of information ready to distribute to the public. But we'll work on it as time progresses. But that concludes today. We'll be back out tomorrow, as I will be hiking from Jamestown over to Ashland. So I'll see you tomorrow.